When it comes to news about the news these days, no news is good news.
In Denver, they stopped the presses for good today. After nearly 150 years in operation, the Rocky Mountain News published its final edition.
Are we really facing the demise of the great metropolitan daily? It was, after all, the newspaper that became as powerful a force as any it covered. Hard as it is for those of us whose day cannot begin without the newspaper, it is a medium that cannot survive without dramatic change. Indeed, it's not clear if it can survive as we know it at all. But does that mean an enormous vacuum, an absence of the kind of information a democratic society needs?
It's the end of the newspaper business right now, this point in time.
Why is longtime media watcher Michael Wolff predicting the imminent end of the newspaper? Consider the facts. Just since 2000, daily newspaper circulation has dropped from 55 million to 50 million. In the last 2 years alone, print ad revenue for papers dropped 28%, more than $11 billion. And that was before the recession really kicked in. Classified ads, the most profitable of all, have migrated to the web on sites like Craigslist. And while the newspaper does have a home online, readers don't pay a dime to read it. Just ask the next generation.
The internet is something that we constantly have with us. I constantly have my laptop on.
I read the New York Times online, the Washington Post online.
Realistically, I prefer the internet. I do, because things are updated constantly.
And what about the local angle? Editors, always tell their reporters to get the local angle. Well, you can't get more local than the suburban community of Montclair, New Jersey.
This is cute.
Where Deborah Gallant and Liz George have launched a website, baristanet.com.
We're much more dynamic. People are coming, they're having a conversation, they're exchanging ideas and opinions. You can't do that on the local newspaper site.
It's produced from their living rooms and from a coffee shop. And they say the web offers powerful advantages over the printed page, quite apart from the cost advantages of no paper, no presses, no delivery cost.
If you hear helicopters overhead and you think, is there a police search going on? Is there some kind of news breaking? You're not going to wait till Thursday till the local paper comes out. You're going to go right to baristanet.com and see what's going on up the street.
But for Mark Porter, editor of the Montclair Times, baristanet.com represents something very different.
And they're primarily just like a lamprey eel feeding off the work of another entity. They haven't gone to the meeting, they haven't interviewed the 5 or 6 sources that a reporter has done for a newspaper, and it really is pilferage.
So, can the immediacy of the web and the depth of the traditional newspaper somehow be fused?
That's a large audience.
In Philadelphia, entrepreneur Brian Tierney and a consortium of wealthy investors bought the 180-year-old Philadelphia Enquirer and the tabloid Daily News some 3 years ago. They've placed a multi-hundred-million-dollar bet that the papers can adapt and survive.
We had a series recently on the EPA and the Bush administration. It took several months to do. It cost $250,000 to do that. I can't do that with 2 bloggers. I can't do that the way all news radio in this market does it, where they basically buy our newspaper and then paraphrase our stories every day. We are the originators of the investigative work that needs to be done.
But Tierney is facing the same dilemma every paper is. While he could save a fortune becoming web-only, readers don't pay for it, and advertisers won't pay nearly what they do for a print ad. One answer, he says, readers will have to start paying, either with a subscription or a so-called micropayment, a few cents for each article they click on the web.
Not that much money, given the overall scope of what television bills and cell phone bills and all the rest of it, our cable bills are. And I think people will pay it.
At the heart of Tierney's efforts to save the enterprise is the website, Philly.com, where content from the Enquirer and the Daily News is combined with original fare.
Good, thank you.
Right now, Brian Tierney's company is in bankruptcy. He argues that if the people who read the Enquirer pay for it, with a higher newsstand price and a subscriber fee on the web, the enterprise will survive and flourish.
Times change, but you can either look in the rearview mirror and lament the past, or you can say, it's exciting.